right, welcome back. I get a lot of questions on this first phone call stuff about handling objections. And just for context here, I did this in my own business for right around a year, and then continued to do more and more sales work, right? Did sales training, paid a lot of money for sales training, read a lot of book on sales, still participate in a lot of courses on sales, listening to better me. Sorry, not putting them out. So, this came over time, and it might not sound right on the first pass, but I really want you to sit on this for a bit. But this handling objections things, I get questions all the time on handling objectives. What I found over time is there is really, man, I got to tell you, there's only one way to handle objections, and that is to bring those objections up first. Now sit in that for a bit, because that sounds a little crazy. Of course, there's context here. The context is having a value conversation where you've done the work and then, shall I say, earn the right to bring the objection up. Because don't get me wrong, when you hear this, I listen to recorded calls all the time. I have people send me recorded calls. I have my own team doing these calls that I listen to. I have clients I do this for. I listen to recorded calls all the time. And you will hear people bringing up, well, we're going to bring up price first. I'm like, but you didn't follow the process and have a value conversation, and you did not earn the right to bring that up. And now you're just cause more confusion and more fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Objections are because of fear, doubt, and uncertainty. The person on the other phone brings up objections because they have fear about scheduling. They have doubts about scheduling, right? And they are uncertain about scheduling because they don't understand the value of what they are going to invest in. And by invest, I mean their time, money, and energy. So the best way to handle an objection is to have the value equation so that you can bring up the objection first. I have heard so many bad calls that will talk around price, that will talk around insurance, that will talk around the fact that we're out of network or in network, whatever it is. I've also had people bring up right off the bat, what's your insurance? Well, we're an in-network provider. And I'm like, what's that solve? That doesn't give you the right to have any conversation, right? You just told the person on the other end, the visit here has nothing to do other with your insurance. You did not earn the right to have the cost conversation, which is the insurance side. Bear with me on this, people, right? When someone calls and says, do you take my insurance? What insurance do you have? Oh, yes, we're in network, is not the right answer. The right answer is, I'm happy to have that conversation with you. Or you can say, just, yes, we do take insurance. And here's what I'd like to do first. You must have a value equation. I love it. A value conversation with the person on the other end of the phone so that you can manage all the parts of the conversation and present the objections in question form or whatever way you want to later in the conversation so that nothing will be left off of the table. It's all on the table. There is no, I'll think about it. There is no, I have to talk to my spouse, right? There may be a pause, there may be some reflection, there may be some qualifying questions, but the best way to eliminate all that is to have a value conversation and then bring it up. So let me tell you the price. So let me tell you how insurance works here. So let me tell you what we're going to do for you next. Let me tell you when I'll get you your cost. All those things, you bring it up before they do, if you had the value conversation. So truly, the best way to manage any objection that could come up is to bring it up first. And if I have a value conversation with you, and then I give you the price, right? I can start to ask you questions that can cut off it sounds expensive. I got to talk to my spouse, right? I'll think about it, because I'm going to start asking questions so you can't default to that. It may lead me down the road to not scheduling you. I'm okay with that if the conversation was managed that way. But you can't tell me. I hear this all the time. I'll listen to a call that someone has done. I'll listen to a recording, and then I'll say, why didn't that person schedule? And they say, well, it was too expensive, or there's a price objection. And I'll say, what were they paying for? Right? Our teams default to price, cost, insurance because they didn't sell value. And so when they brought up the conversation around costs or insurance, there was nothing left. The fear, the doubt, the uncertainty was too high, and the person said no, because we didn't tell them what they were paying for. So the take home here is not only will you manage objections, but you will avoid objections if you have a value conversation, right? And I put that together, right? You guys have probably, unless this is your first video, you guys have heard me break down this conversation, what it should be like on the first phone call, 5-step process to deliver a value conversation. So then when price comes up or any of those things, right, we can have a further discussion. We can decrease fear. We can decrease doubt. We can decrease uncertainty during this value conversation so that the objections don't come up. Cool. So that is the best way to manage objections, is to bring them up after you have had a value conversation. Cheers all.